What's up, everyone? It is officially still the catch-up month of April, meaning we are still catching up on the next piece of One Piece, chapter 1145, entitled Wildfire in Forest Sector 2, Branch Route 8. Jesus H. Christ, Oda. Just give me the longitude and the latitude and I'll be good to go. Like, reading off coordinates would be quicker than this shit. Anyways, yeah, so I guess Oda was just having a good lark with the chapter title this time. But yeah, so technically we are officially caught up on One Piece in the fact of we are now caught up with all the missed chapters. But of course, 1146 has already dropped as of, this Easter weekend, which, by the way, happy Easter to everybody. But yeah, so we are just one short chapter behind, and that one will be coming out in the next following few days, but definitely before 1147 drops, guarantee you. I have already read 1146, but it's not really fully relevant to this chapter review, so that's all good. We do get a beautiful color page spread, apparently made by the main art director or one of the people involved with the anime, hence the, very anime look. Everyone's watching, the Straw Hats are now watching, like, Luffy go Gear 5th on Egghead sort of idea. It's actually really cool. It's actually a really nice double-page spread. As far as the cover serial goes, we see that Ulti is just so happy that page 1 is okay. Yamato doesn't seem to really give a shit. She got the sword back. That's all she cares about. And she's like turned her back. She's like, okay, a couple of Toporopo are here, but I'm fucking Yamato. I am literally the daughter of Kaido. I am good. Like, they can do nothing to me. I just took out who's who. Like, the strongest Toporopo. I'm fine. I am totally fine right here. And they're all banged up and shit. So none of this really matters that much. And it looks like page 1 still has, I assume these are sea stone cuffs on page 1. So he wouldn't be, even if he was in good shape, wouldn't be able to transform into a dinosaur anyways. Not that it would matter, but it is what it is. So, going forward, we actually get something that's very, very interesting here. The shield. The shield of one of the new giant warrior pirates. Always forget his name. But the shield, that was in a cover page years ago. And everyone said, okay, the shield can talk, and the shield has a face on it, and blah, blah, blah. Everyone assumed it was a devil fruit. Because we have seen the fact that, certain, devil fruits don't always necessarily have to be eaten by a person. At least that's so far what we've been led to believe. Because now all of a sudden this, which seemed like a devil fruit, obviously a shield with a devil fruit, okay, swords get devil fruits, it is what it is. And we know this from, guys like Spondum. We know that swords can have devil fruits. We know this from this very arc with Shamrock and his Cerberus fruit inside of his sword. But this is interesting that the shield is actually a homie. One of Big Mom's homies from when this new giant warrior pirate's father actually went there to Totland and hilarity ensued, I guess. So very, very interesting that. Hence why it's also, it's very funny that we have been assuming that this was a devil fruit shield for literal years. And all of a sudden, just passively, Oda was like, yeah, I'm going to explain that about, no, it's a homie. Like, wait, what? And it's like, okay, cool. Why do this, though? Why not just make it a devil fruit? Why make it a homie? I think there's something going on here because he even recognized the fact that Nami has Master Zeus, one of the 3 prime homies, right? Of course, Zeus and Prometheus and stuff, and Napoleon. So it was like, wait a minute now. Master Zeus is with you and stuff? So this homie still recognizes, of course, because Big Mom's soul, etc., etc., but still recognized, and it's like, yeah, well, kind of like the slave, the cabin boy to our navigator. Wait, what? Master Zeus is under your guys' navigator? What is going on? So the shield is just, what the hell? And we find out all this because they go hunting. They go hunting for the obvious, we know, in the One Piece world. I don't even know why we have Dr. Kureha. I don't know why we have Caesar. I don't know why we have Vegapunk. I don't know why we have Chopper. I don't know why we have law doctors at all. Because as we all know, all you need is some cooked barbecued meat, and you'll be right as rain. Some milk for your teeth, and some meat to get you back to 100%. So we have Zoro and Sanji out there hunting. They hunt this giant-ass, big brachiosaurus-looking motherfucker. This more like a brontosaurus with, like, sharp teeth. But yeah, Brontosaurus is always so much cooler. I think he's called like Apatosaurus these days, but Brontosaurus. Anyways, when I was a kid, it was Brontosaurus. Not Brachiosaurus, not the one with the fin, but yeah, Brontosaurus. So anyways, this giant-ass Brontosaurus that looks like an evil Brontosaurus from a really bad Land Before Time movie, shows up, they kill it, and they're like, oh my god, this thing is amazing. It's like, yes, this is a Groggysaurus, a Groggysaurus, and it's considered a delicacy. And it's like, okay, so, alright, and we go through, and as I said, we already figure out all the stuff about the fact that, the homie about the shield and all that stuff, and it's like, wow, this is crazy, right? So, this is where we never did get the information, by the way. This kind of bothers me, because Loki, last time we saw this scene, and last time we saw Loki and everyone was talking about, like, yeah, you look at the forest, look around us. If I was a murderer sort of idea, like, we let that open-ended, like, the reason the underworld looks the way it does right now, the reason it's snowing, the reason there's trees or animals or whatever, obviously something's out of place. And he even tells Hiruden, who wanted to kill him and now seems totally passive about everything, and now they're healing him up, that everything's seemingly fine. And he goes, yeah, they say I killed our father. But, ... like, you don't believe that, do you? And then we totally skip over that. Like, that wasn't important information. Did Oda forget? I'm serious. Did Oda forget that that's where he left off this conversation? Because now it seems we're talking about, like, the current state of affairs. Who injured you, Loki? Oh, Holy Knights, the Gods Knights. Yeah. They showed up here from the world government and stuff. They must want you. It's like, yeah, no, it wasn't about that. They were already here for something else, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, what about the murder of your father? What about the murder of King Harald? Hiruden had an axe ready to throw down on Loki's neck. The thing that stopped him was, I didn't murder our father, pretty much was implied. And we just glazed over all that to go back to this. I'm just like, and since I've already read 1146, not that we jump back to that, but still, I'm like, that was the stuff I care about. Like, right now, this scene is just recapping what we already know, and they're just trying to believe, like, Loki's just recapping what happened to him. I don't know why they're here. They're trying to make up theories as to why they're here. They're all wrong, so instead of giving us the new information, like, wait a minute, is Loki going to tell us the truth? They give us this, and it's very weird. I find that really... like, disconnected for some reason. Like, why? Why leave us off on that cliffhanger, not bring it back, and Hiruden's just standing there, like that wasn't a big, like, fucking bombshell dropped about his family and his history and everything like this, and we just don't care, and now we're recapping? It's weird. I find it very weird. So anyways, they're talking about these, you know, the Gods Knights and stuff like that. Loki keeps saying, like, I'd be king of the world by now, and all this fun jazz. They bring the meat. Zoro's like, yeah, I was the one who took him down, sort of idea. And Sanji was like, well, you know, like, I threw you up there and stuff like that. Anyway, they're doing their classic, you know, rivalry between each other. Meanwhile, Luffy is trying to help, but my god, he is just like, here you go, eat up, Loki. And he slams his piece of meat into it. He's like, you're burning me. And he's like, wait, whoa, be careful about that. He's like, are you trying to kill me right now? Like, this is actually really funny. Even though I am mad at the disconnect between, like, okay, what about the King Harald? Like, we're going to get the reveal. What really happened to your dad? Why is Loki the one up for murder charges and all this shit? No. We even though we bypass all that, the humor here between Loki and Luffy is fucking hilarious. Because Loki is this world-ending threat. He's the giant, you know, if he'd be a Yonko in his own right and all this stuff. He's got the secret, special, super chocolate-covered bounty and stuff like that. And meanwhile, Luffy just keeps, like, the community, oh, I'm trying to help. It feels like every comedy, like, sitcom. I'm sure there's an episode in The Big Bang Theory, Friends, How I Met Your Mother, all of those, but all I can think back is to the OG, the GOAT. One of the greatest TV shows, if not the greatest of all time, MASH, where the young nurse is just such a klutz. She's constantly, like, you know, she'll move and all of a sudden, boom, like things shatter, or she bumps into someone, then they get a black eye from knocking into something and stuff like that. It's just ridiculous, right? And it feels that same comedic energy is right here between Loki. Loki's supposed to be this giant world-ending thing, and Luffy's just like, hey man, heal up. He's like, are you trying to kill me? You're burning me with that. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. And like, Luffy is not trying, he is trying to help, and he's the bumbling nurse right now. He's the bumbling friend, the bumbling doctor. Like, oh, this'll help you sort of idea. And it's like a Mr. Bean episode. You know what I mean? It's fucking hilarious. And Loki's just so fed up. It's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, well, you're looking better. Well, you gotta eat if you want to recover. And he finally eats and stuff. And he's like, it's really hard to swallow. Can we sit me up? He's like, yeah. He goes, well, my throat's still burning from that. So maybe, you know, you could get me something. And he's like, oh, I'll bring you some soup. Literally picks up this giant, like, cauldron. Well, it's a mug, but it's like a cauldron of soup. And Luffy's like, ow, this is really hot. And even Loki's like, I can see it bubbling from here. It's still boiling. Get away from me. And then he ends up dropping it. So he doesn't even like, okay, so Loki's immediately like, no, don't bring it any closer. Luffy drops it because it's too hot to handle, drops it on him, scalds Loki again, twice in a row, and he's just like, get it. And Gerd's like, he has even more burns than he did before. And Loki's like, just, for the love of Christ, get him away from me. Please. And Luffy's just like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. But Gerd and everybody's happy about this, and Sanji and Zoro are just like, what the hell? They really hate Loki because these are all accidents of Luffy just trying to help it. He's a bumbling moron. But fucking, they're just like, yeah, good showing. And they're like, oh my god, how much do you hate this motherfucker right now, right? It's actually quite funny. So, but he does say, because Zoro brings it up, and he does say that, no, I do actually know where to find Red Hair. I was not lying about that. And funnily enough, it's weird that you can say that. Like, does he know where Shanks' normal, you know, like back in the day, his home base obviously was Fuchsia Village. But does he know where Shanks' Wano is? You know? Does he know where Shanks' true island or normal base of operations? Even if he, you know, Blackbeard's got Haji Nosu, Wano for Kaido, Totland for Big Mom and stuff, just because they travel around doesn't mean Shanks is always there. Obviously, he was just in Elbaf and stuff. Loki must know this, but Loki might know the location of his actual, where Shanks, if Shanks not a constant traveler, I assume he has that one island that is sort of like his. He's got territory all over the New World, but he must have one island that he stays most of the time when he's anchored up. I assume that Loki means that location, because there's no way he knows where he is unless he's got some. Maybe, wouldn't it be crazy if he has an eternal pose to the Red Force? That would be interesting. I wonder, can you have an eternal pose? I mean, it goes against the idea that it's the magnetic pole and stuff like that, but could you almost... No, you couldn't make it, but I wonder if there's something like that. What if there's like an eternal pose that points towards the Red Force for whatever reason? That'd be interesting. But anyways, yeah, so I assume he just knows what his home base island is and stuff like that. So this is where Loki is actually, he's still chewing up, he's still trying to recover and stuff like that. And he says, like, I know how you feel, like, because him and Luffy and Loki sort of have a similar backstory where, or there's a parallel here where Loki brings up, like, if you want to meet Red Hair that bad, I understand how it feels to idolize a pirate your whole life and stuff like that, because I did the same thing when I was a lad, and we actually see rocks. Rocks showed up when they were children, so this was obviously 40 years ago, and because Whitebeard was still on the crew, so this was over 40 years ago, and or 38 years ago was the God Valley incident, wasn't it? 38 or 39 years ago. So this must have happened before God Valley, because God Valley is what destroyed the Rocks pirates. Presumably Rocks is dead, and Whitebeard started his own crew around 38 years ago. So this was about 40 years ago. And we see Loki as a young kid and stuff like that. Once again, more like Colin's age sort of idea. Loki's, you know, once again, giants age differently and stuff like that. And he's like, join my crew, you know, and stuff like that. And, you know, I want to join your crew. And he's like, I didn't come here for... We don't know why Rocks is there in Elbaf, but he's like, I didn't come here for brats like you. Meanwhile, Kaido joined the crew. So he took on a teenager, or when did Kaido join when he was like 15, 14? He joined when he was a teenager, not quite a kid, but by this logic, Loki is actually older than Kaido at this junction, more than likely. So Kaido joined, but that was more Big Mom. I don't really know. Anyways, so he challenges Rocks to a fight. He fucking lays him out, and Whitebeard even brings up, you didn't have to use a blade on a goddamn kid, and Rocks is just like, shut up, Newgate, and stuff like that. So I'm going to assume, by the way, that Whitebeard was the first mate of the Rocks pirates. I know they were, of course, all on this level, and there was a lot of disorder amongst them and stuff, but if you had to pick a first mate, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Whitebeard was the first mate of Rocks. Just in general, it just makes the most sense right now. Doesn't mean that anybody really listened to him, but it'd be the same way that Sanji necessarily is always fighting with Zoro. Zoro's still the first mate, commands respect, but Nami, not being the first mate or the captain, commands tons of respect on the crew, right? And she's usually the one in charge of the day-to-day operations in the first place. So it could be a dynamic similar to that, but either way, yeah, it's crazy that it's like he fucking stabbed a kid. It was like, yeah, now he's like, oh, fight you? Fine. And just threw it. To me, I know he's bleeding and stuff like that, but it feels like to me, Rocks is like, oh, you want to fight me? Then he came at him, and Rocks just pulled out a dagger and freaking stabbed him, slammed his face into his knee, and dropped him on the floor and went, get the fuck out of here, kid. And then just walked away. That seems to be the case of what happened. I have no idea, but it's quite funny. And actually, from the silhouettes, it's quite strange. It's hard to tell, but it looks like, because of the distance, Rocks looks about the same size as Whitebeard, and Loki looks small compared to him. So that's quite interesting too. We don't know enough about Rocks to say maybe he was Buccaneer sized, like Whitebeard and Kuma and that kind of idea. We don't know. But and once again, because of the perspective, it's hard to know for sure. But it's interesting. It's certainly interesting to think about. This is where Loki claims he was born in the wrong era. Now we jump back to Dorian, Broggy, and Gaban absolutely wiping out the child's nightmares. The Draugr, the dragons, the one that looks like Loki and stuff. Gaban is just having a fun day. So is Dorian and Broggy. They're like, this is nothing to us. This is shit. God's Knight's power against the giants and the left hand of the pirate. No. Gaban is more than enough for this bullshit. It's like, no, your devil fruit will not take down Gaban. So it's all good, right? And he's like, they're all based on this, that, and the other thing. Now Gaban notices something. He said, but there are more of them out there. And what this confirms, he can hear, he's got conquerors. This is all but confirmed. It's still confirmed as far as I'm concerned, but I know people literally need it stated in black and white. But Gaban has conquerors, Hockey. Sanji fans should rejoice at this news, by the way. Just saying. But Gaban has conquerors. There's no doubt in my mind. I believe we've seen it in his battle with Luffy. But, and considering he was on the level of, he was told to be on the same level as Roger and Rayleigh, you can't get to, there's a degree, there is a ceiling without conquerors. And you cannot bypass that ceiling without having conquerors. So Gaban has conquerors. But also, is this from the Conquerors, or does he also have the voice of all things? Because this would be interesting, because Rayleigh, from what we understand, does not have the voice of all things. But he hears a trio of abnormal voices. They are trying to hide, but I can still feel them. I'm not sure if this is a translation thing, and he's able to feel it because of his hockey, and it's his Conquerors that's able to do this. Because Rayleigh did not have the voice of all things. We know this because when Roger was out in the seas, who is speaking? And all the rest of the crew were like, what are you hearing, man? There's nobody's talking, Roger. What are you talking about? Sort of idea, right? So, interestingly enough, this might be a small retcon by Oda here, where Gaban, at the very least, if not Rayleigh, also has the voice of all things. Maybe this is something he found later when they reached Laugh Tale. It was something that awoke inside of him. Who knows? But is this part of his hockey, or is this part of having maybe a sliver of the voice of all things? Because he hears abnormal voices. 3 of them. There's 3 God Knights here. That's what Gaban is hearing. And he's like, okay, this isn't over, sort of idea. And he says, Elbath is no longer safe. This is getting strange. Now, I love this part of the chapter because Jimbe to the fucking rescue. He is the fire force. He is literally the firefighter 101. The kids are walking forward. They don't have enough time because, of course, one of their main boats was destroyed, the firefighter crew and stuff like that. They're trying to put out these flames and they're not doing it quick enough, but Jimbe got to it in time and he grabbed and he did his fisherman karate and he pulled all the sea towards him because he is first son, knight of the sea, the favored beloved son by the sea, Jimbe. And he's just like, yeah, fuck fire. Boom. And he's pulling it from God knows where. It doesn't matter. He's Jimbe. He can summon water. Jimbe is so goddamn cool. So yeah, Jimbe totally blasts, gets rid of the fire on the tree, and everyone's like, holy shit, that was awesome. The firefighter crew gets all of the praise. The Straw Hats don't care and stuff, and they realize, well, we didn't do it and stuff. It's like, it doesn't matter. We're just trying to save people here at this point. Gunko shows up at the very end. And she's just like, so, you guys have tried to thwart our attempts. Well, now I'm going to fight you, sort of idea. She shows up here to fight against Brooke, Jimbe, Nami, Usopp, and Colin, right? And nobody else knows that she's here. Now, I would argue, once again, as I have said, Jimbe took on who's who. Nami has Zeus. Usopp, not sure. But Brooke has, Brooke is awesome. Like, there is enough power between, at the very least, 3, if not 4 of these Straw Hats to take on a God's Knight. I'm sorry. One of these God's Knights against 4, including Knight of the Sea Jimbe, this should be possible. And we will talk about that in chapter 1146. We will get to that next time on that chapter. But yeah, so this was a great chapter, though. I enjoyed a lot of it. The one thing that I have the problem with, as I said, was the disconnect between, Loki didn't kill his father, or he did, but his father was evil, or whatever. And we just sort of dropped that, and we continued on, and Hyrule apparently isn't going to execute Loki all of a sudden. I guess the big news bomb, we didn't need to hear it or see it, and nobody's affected by it. Okay. So Sanji and they just started going hunting, and Gerd healed up Loki, and yeah, nothing major was ever said after that, apparently. So, but yeah, anyways, so that's the last chapter to catch up on. We're officially caught up. 1146, of course, has already dropped. It's the new chapter here this Easter weekend. But once again, we're only a few days late. We're not like more than a chapter behind. So obviously this week, 1146 will come out. But we're caught up from where we were backlogged before. You get what I mean. So yeah, excited to finally be caught back up on One Piece on YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will be continuing our catch-up here in the month of April for Record of Ragnarok, alongside other things, the Budokai series and stuff like that. So, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you back here very, very soon for Chapter 1146 to be officially caught up on our One Piece content. So, looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too. Have a good one. Sayonara.